Hello everyone. The topic in which I chose to research was providing effective feedback for students. I found feedback to be of particular interest to me because I felt that this was an area in my own teaching that I wanted to focus on strengthening. As stated by Hattie, feedback is among the most powerful influences on how people learn. As educators, we are constantly providing feedback to our students, oftentimes without even realizing it's going on, which makes it essential that we are mindful of the feedback being given to students and also collected from students. Before I begin with discussing how we as educators can make our feedback more effective, we must first define what feedback actually is. There are many definitions that describe what feedback encompasses, but I have found that Wiggins and William describe what feedback is most effectively and in an understandable manner. Wiggins explains feedback as information about how we are doing in our efforts to reach a goal, meaning it is a manner in which we help our students assess their performance, identify what it is that is being done well and what may need improvement, and then finally providing encouragement to use this information to take them to the next level. William uses an analogy to explain feedback. Just as a thermostat adjusts room temperature, effective feedback helps maintain a supportive environment for learning. This touches on the importance of feedback to educators. I always viewed feedback as a manner in which I could assist my students in bettering themselves as learners and support them in reaching their educational goals. Though through this research, I have become more aware of the importance of using feedback, not just that I provide to my students, but also that I collect from my students to guide and direct my teaching. When we look at the purpose of effective feedback, it must answer three major questions. Where am I going? How am I going? And where to next? When looking at where am I going, feedback should describe what success would look like in this area and what is needed to get there. How am I going? This looks at identifying the gaps, strengths, and current achievements in a particular area. And finally, where to next? This question is especially important. If this piece is missing, students oftentimes fail to use or act on the feedback teachers provide. Students need to know the importance of their efforts and know where to place the attention in order to find access and success in this area. Let's look at how we can make our feedback more effective. There are three areas that I will further discuss: clarifying the goal, ensuring student understanding, and seeking feedback from students. Looking at clarifying the goal, this idea looks at the importance of creating relationships with individual students. Each student comes with different understandings and experiences. It is vital that we know where our students are coming from so we are able to tailor our feedback to meet their academic needs. No two students are the same, so our feedback is likely to vary among individuals. Not only is building relationships important in how we provide our feedback, but it also affects how effective it is with our students, in that if they do not value or trust our teaching, they'll be less likely to act on our feedback. The classroom environment must be a place where students understand that errors and misunderstandings are how we all grow. If this is the case, students can more easily use feedback without being concerned that there will be negative reactions or perceptions from peers or their teacher. Clarity of the goal also looks at clearly communicating the desired learning goal to students throughout instruction to guarantee students understand the direction of their learning. That leads us into ensuring student understanding. This area stresses the importance of supplying students with feedback that is specific, accurate, and trustworthy. Educators must work with students to discuss and define what successful achievement of the goal looks like. Modeling should also be provided to support students' understanding. This could be done verbally, by example, or by providing samples of the task. When feedback is given to students, it should be at students' level and written in a manner in which they can read and understand. Providing too much feedback can also be counterproductive, discouraging students from making improvements. Students must also have the opportunity, once the feedback is understood, to apply and practice the strategies suggested in the feedback. Finally, we look at the importance of seeking feedback from our students. When educators collect feedback from their students, they are able to have a greater understanding of how their instruction, message, and demands impact their students' learning. The simplest form of feedback can come from simply listening to students' learning. With this information, they are able to determine what, if any, specific assistance, adaptations, or reteaching must be done to support learners. I'm going to leave you with a statement to think about, one in which caused me to think how often we as educators feel the pressures of the daunting curriculums we teach or the need to teach to the tests so that students are able to achieve what we feel they should. And by doing this, we're not providing our students the appropriate time needed to apply the teaching and practice the actual skills that we want them to obtain. This quote also allowed me to reflect on my own teaching and the quality of feedback that I provide. By teaching less and providing more feedback, we can produce greater learning.